Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following along, you know that I just started a brand new series on easy makeup tips for mature women. Sometimes I have to just take a minute when I refer to myself as a mature woman. As we're getting older, our skin is different, and so our makeup needs and our makeup application need to be different than they were in our 20s and our 30s. Hi, I'm Dawn with Just Doing My Best, and I'm so glad you're here. Like I said, we're continuing in this series on easy makeup tips for mature women, and I'm here every week with a brand new video for women over 40 and women over 50 who just want to look and feel their very best. And I got to thinking that there are a lot of makeup videos out there, and I could make a lot of makeup tutorials, and here's the bottom line. Sometimes as we get older, we have to stop and think, okay, my skin is changing, my face is changing, my makeup needs and my makeup application need to change as well. So that's the purpose of this series. I've already done a video on blush. I plan to do a lot more. So if you have any ideas on things that you would like to see in this series, please leave me a comment below and let me know. And definitely give this video a thumbs up if you find value in it, and definitely subscribe. So let's talk about concealer as it pertains to those of us who are more mature and our makeup needs are changing. The first thing that I want to say about concealer is foundation. What I mean by that is I want you to put on your foundation first, because if you're putting on foundation, if you decide that you wear foundation, and I do, if you put on your foundation first all over your face, be sure to blend it in really, really well. But once you put on your foundation, you're better able to see just how much concealer you need or maybe don't need, because your foundation is made to kind of even out your skin tone, kind of blur the lines. So if it's doing its job, you may not need as much concealer as you thought you did. Once you've applied your foundation, then your concealer for underneath your eyes should be one shade lighter. Not two, not three shades lighter. You don't want it to be super white. You don't want to look like a raccoon. But what you want is you want that underneath that eye area to be brightened a little bit, and just one shade lighter will do that for you. You want to kind of combat those under eye circles. It gets dark kind of right in the inner corner of the eye, so one shade lighter will really help to brighten out that eye area without being a super stark contrast to your foundation. This is the under eye concealer that I really like, and I will link it in the description below this video. So go below the video to find the links for all of the things that I like. You'll notice that I showed you two colors, and that's because I want you to experiment. I want you to find the colors that work for you, find the formulation that works for you. I am absolutely going to show you what I love. I absolutely love this concealer, which is for two of them is like 12 bucks for two of them. So I love this concealer. Here's what I want you to know though. Don't ever think that once you buy a concealer, you're locked in, because most places, if you buy it and you don't like it, you can take it back. Even places like Sephora, Ulta, even the drugstore, Walgreens, most of the time will take it back, even if you've used it and you decided that you don't like it. I like to use two colors because I find that while I'm on the very light end of the color spectrum most of the time when it comes to concealers or foundations, I have very fair skin. It's not porcelain, but it's very fine. I find that the lighter of these two is too light and would kind of give me that raccoon effect, but the darker one is a little too dark. And I like to, what do I want to say? I like to have the flexibility to add a little bit more of the lighter if maybe I'm just not feeling very well and my skin is very, very pale, or maybe it's the summertime and I've got a little color to my skin, then I can add a little bit more of the darker one. But I like to use the two colors, and like I said, with these that I really love are about $6 a piece, I can afford to buy two colors without breaking the bank. And I have started using a concealer brush. I really, really enjoy this. I will link one or two concealer brushes below in the description. I just think it really helps to get in the inner corner. It helps to kind of really get in those fine lines. If you want to use a beauty blender, you could. If you want to use your fingers, but I just really like the ability to get in those corners with a concealer brush. And when you're applying your concealer around your eyes, you definitely want to spend the bulk of your time and the bulk of that concealer right in this area right in here. So almost as if you draw a line right in the middle of your eye, you don't want to have very much concealer from here on over. You want the bulk of it to be in this area right in here. That's where all the darkness is, and you can obviously spread it out just a little bit underneath here, okay? But the further you get out here, the more that makeup is going to settle in those fine lines, and less is definitely more when it comes to those areas right here. So definitely focus all of your energy in here and in this area right in here, trying not to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy coming all the way out to the corner of your eye. And when you're applying your concealer, toilet paper can be your friend. And what I mean by that is I will get a little bit of toilet paper and I'll just use it to kind of blot off my brush so that I don't have so much product on my brush. But another thing that I do is I take just one square of toilet paper and I can just put it here and kind of dab at it if I think maybe I've gotten a little too heavy-handed, or if maybe later on the day, you know, if you're like me, I am so oily. So I will put that on and just blot it a little bit rather than smearing it or maybe applying and then getting too much. I'll just kind of blot that just a little bit with toilet paper, and it really seems to do the trick for me. Now I want to share with you one of my secrets for good concealing, and that is I use a liquid concealer for around my eyes, and then I use a stick concealer for all of the other areas. I find that the liquid formulation is really good for around the eyes, but I find that the stick gives me a little bit more coverage, and it would be too cakey if I used it around my eyes. But it's a great formulation for places like an age spot. I've got a little sunspot here. Definitely want to conceal around your nose. We get very red in here. And then to kind of lift up those areas around our mouth that get recessed a little so they get dark. And so a great concealer, and this stick concealer is really good for that area as well. You saw in my video that I was concealing not only around my nose, my spots, my laugh lines, but also around my mouth. I tend to get red around my mouth. And another thing, that putting concealer around your mouth and then setting it with the powder, that also keeps our lipstick in place too. So not only do I get red, but if I don't put any concealer or powder around that, then my lipstick just bleeds and it just looks awful. So don't forget around the mouth area also. Okay, I have to say this. I am popping back in because I recorded this entire video, stepped away, and then thought, oh, there were a couple of things I wanted to say. So I'm popping back in to tell you two things. First thing is, we are absolutely going to set our concealer with powder, but I'm going to do that in the next video on foundations and powders. So watch for that video. Second thing that I wanted to say is, I don't believe that we can get a completely flawless concealer or foundation application without any creasing, okay? Am I doing my absolute best? I am. Am I trying everything that I know to do, that I hear? I'm constantly working on getting new ideas. I am, but I think it was possible when we were in our 20s, when we were in our 30s, maybe even in our 40s. Now I'm over 50 and I'm not finding that I can go an entire 12 hours or 15 hours without any creasing. It's just not possible, okay? If it is, I will let you know as soon as I hear about it. But I'm finding that I do have wrinkles. Okay, and occasionally it does settle in those fine lines, especially as the day goes on, especially because I have oily skin and I live in a very, very humid climate. So, am I going to tell you that you can get a perfect, flawless application for your concealer and foundation? No, I am not going to tell you that. Am I going to tell you that I will tell you all the tips and tricks as I hear them? I absolutely will. So remember what I said, that toilet paper can be your best friend. And occasionally I am looking in the mirror and just kind of patting it and getting it to even out just a little bit. So do the very best that you can and do not expect perfection at this stage of the game. Okay, now let's wrap this up. Before we wrap up this quick video about concealer, I just want to remind you about a couple of things. The first one is, when we were younger and our skin was brighter, we had different needs, we had different makeup needs, and could probably get away with one color and one formulation of concealer. I really do recommend right now probably two different formulations. I really like that liquid around the eyes to just get a more even coverage, especially with those fine lines. And remember, around those eyes, what we're wanting to do is brighten that up. So go one color lighter than your foundation. But then you could use that stick formulation around the eyes, around the mouth, around the nose, in the same color, around that same tone as what you're using in your foundation, to just help blend everything in and just conceal and give you a beautiful, even complexion. The last thing that I want to say about concealer as it pertains to our mature skin is that what we want to do is we want to conceal our spots and just kind of hide or even out some of those flaws that we see. But my goal with concealer is never to mask everything. Always with concealer and foundation, less is going to be more. I just want to look myself, but a little bit better, a little bit more awake, even things out a little bit. If I keep adding it on and adding it on and adding it on, it's going to look like a mask, and then it's really going to settle into my fine lines. And I got a lot of them. I don't want that just settling in and caking in. And as we know, as the day goes on, it just seems to get worse and they really settle in. And that's what I don't want. I don't want to draw attention to all of those things and all of those flaws and all of those wrinkles on my face. So when you think you've probably got enough, stop. Okay, and that way I think you're just going to look so much more beautiful by taking a less is more approach. So I hope this was helpful as it pertains to concealer for our mature skin. If you have ideas for things that you would like to see for just simple makeup tips for us as mature women, please leave me a comment and let me know. I would love to hear from you. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I really hope that you'll subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Definitely come over to Facebook or Instagram and find me at Just Doing My Best, and I hope you go out today and you're blessed and you do your best.